So Women Matters in the end of April 2022. Wondering what we will talk about today. There are lots of topics we could talk about, but we won't have too much time. So the first people who have to leave is Victoria. So you have the first check-in and the first go.
First check-in, first check-out.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I got my hair cut. And yesterday, to my horror, I hadn't noticed it before. I went for a walk, my usual evening walk at the beach. And because I just got my hair cut, I was, I guess I'm more sensitized suddenly to hair and hairstyles. And I saw because it was a very hot day here yesterday. So I saw a huge number of women and young girls and older girls and all ages, old women, the full range of humanity. And in the hour that I walked along the beach, it's a very long beach, I didn't see one single solitary female of any age that had short hair. So I know now that I'm totally out of fashion. I think Martini's unmuted. Oh, she's coming back. So it shows that I've always been out of fashion, and I guess I always will be. So so that was my so Christine, you're totally in fashion. You're right.
Thank you.
You may not have planned it that way, but I can tell you from my observation. No, my late husband, because he was an art historian and he had a lot of theory.
I'm sorry, Victoria, could you repeat that again? I couldn't hear it, please.
Yeah, Martini, poor Martini, she's struggling to get all the stuff going. I'm glad she's here though. Oh no, I was just saying that he was a keen observer of people, because that helped his theories, and he used to love nothing more than sitting on a beach and just watching the people go by, and then he would figure out their ages, or he could.
Excuse me, Martini, I have to shut you down, your microphone, because we hear you.
I don't think she can hear. I think she's trying to figure out how to hear. And they keep pushing the unmute.
Doesn't hear us.
Yes,
That's the problem.
let's use sign language. Maybe that works.
No, she
Okay, continue. I will call. I will.
Yeah, I'm
mute her
done
all the
now. I'm
time.
done with my check-in.
Okay.
Who wants to check in next? Should I pass it on?
I think the earlier person was with you, Monia was with you, right?
Monia.
I'd pass it on to Hannele because she's also leaving earlier.
Ladies, thank you, Monia. I just had some technical dilemmas here. Apologies for being a few minutes late. I'm well, thank you. We're back from Cape Town. It was a wonderful trip, and it's quite interesting to be back in Johannesburg after being in such a beautiful space and such a pleasant time at the ocean and the mountains and the likes. So, and I'm glad to be here with you. Thank you. And I don't know who has not checked in yet.
Almost everybody. Okay.
So Martini, can you hear us now?
Okay, she can hear us.
Okay, good.
Oh, but now we can't hear her. Oh, because you
And
muted.
I can talk as well.
Good.
Oh, I'm very glad to see all of you. And I have to check in. Do I have to check in?
You don't have to do anything.
Do.
You don't have to.
I check in. It's a long time that we have seen each other, and I'm very pleased to be with you this evening. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can continue.
Yes.
No, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Yes, I do. What shall I tell you? I have very much to tell you, but I don't know where to start. So maybe I listen to you and then it will happen. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll do a quick check-in. As I told you, it's very, very windy, and the Sahara dust is just sand is just all over Vienna. And I'm not used to that you feel this sand everywhere. So once you open a window, it's just terrible. Otherwise, yeah. We just canceled our vacation in August because my husband doesn't feel he wants to drive that far and walk, and he has difficulty with his walking. So probably we'll go to a spa instead. And yeah, so that's what happens when you are 80, and it's sort of, you have to let go. Christine, I pass on to you.
I love your last phrase. It's just what I needed to hear. Let go. I've had a series of very difficult situations, unexpected, over the last few days, and they sadden me a lot. So I don't really know what to say because I'm used to being very optimistic and hopeful and bright and cheerful, and I'm not there today, sadly. So I don't need to give you too many details, but I had a large gathering down at my creek. There's a huge platform there and groups like to come there. And so I moved my chairs there. I moved my chairs back and take them up and put them in storage. We did that in the process. The person who was helping me, the both of us jammed the back of my car into a tree because we couldn't see a damn thing because of the chairs in the car. And I can't drive my car. So it's just one of those things. It's like a haircut, it's just a hiccup, but I'm still looking for a way to drive because my insurance doesn't cover rental car. So it could cost thousands of dollars to be able to drive. So I have lots of opportunities, I suppose. I'm just not coming in. It's less than 48 hours since that reality. And you know me as a 3, I'm on it. And there are options. I'm just sad, really sad, because I feel like this car is my friend. And I hurt it somehow. I make it personal, right? Anyway, there we are. It just makes life more complicated, but there are blessings too. My neighbor, it's a karma, right? My neighbor lost her son. I was the first responder. I was with her and her family, who had to travel to different parts of the United States. And she said, it's my time to hurt, not hurt, but help. And so she's given me her car, potentially. So I'm grateful, but it's still like yucky. That's it. Sorry, not very bright today. But thank you for listening, because I haven't said this to anybody yet. It's all so new. I'm not a very bright soul at the moment. Thank you.
Beatrice, you haven't checked it yet?
All right. Here I am. Last time that you met, I was spending a week in North Carolina on a sand, what is it called? Not a dune, a sand barge. Basically, it's a strip of sand along the ocean, and the only way to access the properties there is to take a 4x4 truck, kind of safari style, and drive over the sand. Oh, bar. My mother says in the chat, bar, not barge. Yeah, that makes more sense. I think barge is something that floats in the ocean. Anyway, clearly I'm not used to being somewhere like this. It was very remote. It was this beautiful 3-story mansion. And there were a total of, I think there were 45 of us in the house. Spending a week together, eating all our meals together, and doing, in the daytime, we were doing workshops, dance workshops, and then had some free time as well. And then in the evening, we had social dancing every night. And it was fabulous. It was so wonderful. I mean, the community, it was such a beautiful community of people that really wanted to get to know each other and support each other. But also as an education model, everything was, there were 5 expert teachers who were there, but all of the topics that we explored were sourced by the people in the house. There was a whole little sticky note method where you could write something you were interested in, and then people would put their initials on it if they were interested in also studying it. And then each day the teachers would select topics from those sticky notes, and you could decide to attend one of those workshops, or there were other teachers available at the same time that if you weren't interested in that, you could also get a private lesson at that time, or come with a small group and work on something different. And so it was all, everyone was really working on improving what they wanted to improve. And they already were all high-level dancers. So it was really exciting to be in a space where everyone was incredibly dedicated, showed up to everything, and wanted to work together and help each other improve and grow together. So coming back from that was kind of a shock, coming back from a house full of amazing people dancing every day to, you know, living alone and managing various things. I'm still in the process of letting go of this work relationship that turned sour. And I keep thinking that it's over and that everything is okay. And then I will get a long message that surprises me and is accusing me of things that aren't true. And it's just, it's very toxic and very uncomfortable and very exhausting. So I slept 11 hours last night. I think I really needed it. I not only was exhausted physically from that week, but I think I'm also very emotionally exhausted from a lot of uncertainty and things shifting with jobs and with relationships with people, and where I thought that there were people that I could trust or that cared about me, that suddenly turned out that they didn't. So I feel your sadness, Christine. That's been sitting with me this week. There's great joy for a week, and then kind of a weird, dreary week that followed. I'll leave it there. I'll be eating during this session, so apologies if you see me taking bites, but I just got up a little bit ago, even though it's the afternoon, and I'm gonna have my brunch meal. Who still wants to talk?
Heidi,
That's
Heidi.
me.
since Gertraud isn't here.
So we have to figure out if we turn back on our usual time. I mean, we will see. I will contact her. Anyway, for me, just before we started the recording, my dearest friend Barbara arrived from Germany, and she said she might come to Italy with her camper and her 2.75 of children. And she entered into the door. I thought this is the guy who is still here. And then I looked and I thought, oh, somebody else. It was her. So she is now over there. And after our meeting, I will meet her. And she's one of the people I had very good experiences about. It's 15 years ago. I know her for 15 years. And every now and then she comes, and now she will have a third baby in a short time. After many years, she couldn't have babies she came here at first, she was 24, and because she had a chemotherapy. And so she stayed with me, and I sort of introduced her a little bit to the things I then already knew about alternative ways and about constellation. We went to a constellation together and all these things. And I think that was a good start for her. And I love her. Anyway, yeah, what I hear you saying is this change from being in a good position and then changing in a completely different one and so on. Yeah, and like this. And for me, it was like this. I talked to Christine the other day that I had a huge surprise, a person coming here with whom I thought, in the sense of Marion Lockhart and the Soul family, that it's a soul brother for me, you know, and that was like woof. And fortunately, I haven't this yet, but I'm very used to it in my life. So, like, shall we talk a little bit about these changes, about these abrupt changes, and how we deal with them?
Well, a soul brother doesn't necessarily have to please you.
No, it has nothing to do with bliss, but it was the feeling. It somehow we know from all the time, and be together. It was very light. It felt light and joyful, and no complications. I could be as I am. I didn't need to play any role and so on. You know, so that's normally I would say with men I would play a little bit, at least, a role at the beginning. No, and it was just poof. So, Anneli, I saw you nod. Would you like to start?
I just would like to put a term on what we're talking about, because I found that when you enter the bardo, it's called rupture, this immediate break of what was there and getting used to something completely different. So maybe it's about the ruptures we are talking, that you feel comfortable and you feel at ease, and all of a sudden everything changes. Yeah.
Or the other way around, you know?
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm with it.
Thank you, Heidi. That's very interesting for me as well. I'm usually very easy adaptable, you know, to different situations. I just go with it. And but what I'm learning is that with such ruptures, like you say, Monia, when it's something that's close to my soul, then I actually feel the rupture more. So generally speaking, it's okay. I can adapt. I can be flexible. I can go with the flow. But when it's something that's close to my heart, then it hits me harder, so to speak. And then it does take a little bit of effort to come back into flow, so to speak, to be back in flow of life. And I've experienced it since we came back from Cape Town, having such a beautiful experience in nature and just the whole scene and beautiful friends and the likes. And then to come back to the drama of Johannesburg, because when we came back, it was cold and dreary, which is very different for this time of the year. We don't usually get such cold. It was like really winter in autumn. And it was quite a big shock because we had wonderful weather in Cape Town. And then I had such amazing ideas and things I had to do and complete. And it took me a few days to settle back into this type of scenario with whatever is going on here. Our roads are in horrid conditions, and yeah, it's like Johannesburg's falling apart, and a lot of parts of our country as well. But then this morning I got up and I deliberately got myself back into flow. And I was so creative, but I had to force myself almost to focus on, I don't want that to continue. Being sucked in, because it's almost like a draining energy if you're not conscious. And I don't want to get sucked into that. I just want to be myself. But once I got to get myself to sit down and start, the creativity started flowing. And now as I'm sitting here with you, I feel much better. I feel I'm back. I've kind of found my way back into the flow part of my life. But it's very interesting when these things happen. But I did discover through this process that it is because it's something close to my heart that I felt the rupture so much that I experienced in such, because usually bad weather wouldn't really affect me so much. And also, you know, the stuff that's going on in South Africa is nothing new, but it was suddenly close to home that I don't want to be in an environment like this anymore. So hence my gypsy spirit wants to get moving again. But it was all good in the end of also being able to just center myself again, even though it was with a little bit of effort. I'm complete.
Victoria, because you will leave in 10 minutes.
I'd like to have you as my secretary, Monia. Actually, no, not secretary. You're my manager. I need a manager. You'd be very scary, I'm sure. Well, the rupture, I was just, oh, Beatrice just, oh no, Hannalie, your agent, yeah, definitely. We'll fight, we'll have a duel, decide who gets Monia. Well, I have to rupture, yeah, I have to rupture now in 8 minutes. So I don't, the one thing I wanted to say on this topic was that, because I've been hearing a lot of talks in my usual, you know, addictive locations and all these Buddhist groups, etc. I've been hearing a lot of talks lately where people are talking about how it's an apocalyptic time moving from one world to the next. And I'm sure a lot of you have been hearing the same kind of things. But one woman, and actually Heidi, she's one of the ones I wrote to you about, said something very beautiful, that she said her experience of our times right now are that we are, the whole planet is in labor. And I love that image. I hadn't heard that before, and it put a much more positive spin on it, that because labor pain, well, I mean, of course there can be a tragedy, a stillbirth or something, but she was saying it in the sense of that it's necessary to go through tremendous agony and pain, and you know, it is a rupture, like the rupture of the birth canal, but it can lead to new life that can be very beautiful and very that the new life can't really come into being without the suffering that precedes it. So so I just thought I'd share that, because I'm not saying as eloquently as she did, but it just made me feel a lot better, because I'm so tired of people saying this is the end of the world and it's going to be a nuclear war and all this stuff. I'm just tired of it. And so it was a nice way to, a nice spin to put on it, that this may, you know, we may have to go through what we're going through in order to experience a new birth. And that's something that can be, you know, we can have hope for and anticipation. So that's my little share. And I'll just slip out when the time comes, but I'm really sad, especially because Martini, make sure you come back again. We've really missed you. So yeah, I tried to change this appointment and I couldn't. So anyway, lots of love, and I'll just slip away so I don't disrupt the conversation.
Thank you. That was lovely. Thank you.
So Martini, do you want to talk a little bit about what you wanted to talk about?
I really don't know what to say. We all have this experiences of feeling comfortable or not comfortable with the people we are sharing our lives or things like that. And I try to just observe it and try really hard not to judge. And I think if it is very badly, then I think there comes another moment as well. And I try to accept it as it is. And this is for me a very good way to cope with it, to accept what is, because I know also if I'm just by myself, I have moments that I think, I don't know what is going on. I don't understand anything. And then the next day, it is totally different. And then I think, oh, I can rely on how I am, how people are. I feel comfortable to take what is. I learned this. And Victoria, what you were saying of the Holy Week, I was very, very pleased with it, because I was painting the resurrection, and it was, you all know Merton, Thomas Merton, and he is talking, Beatrice, about the cosmic dance, and the resurrection is the blood within us, what is jumping, you know, like this, and dancing. And so I saw your a picture, Victoria, and I was just with my brushes, I was just dancing, Beatrice, and it's the painting was, oh, I didn't understand that it happened, but it happened. So I'm pleased. I'm really happy, but I don't know what to say. And don't think that everything is easy with me, because we had our house full with our children, and there was a tension, but I noticed this tension, and they did what they wanted. And I think we are all so different, and yeah, I'm glad to be with you.
Thank you, Martini. I like how you get into this euphorious, or how do you say, euphory? This exciting, especially when you talk about art. I noticed that about what you are creating. Do you have the picture? Can we see that? Oops, you are muted again.
Yes, I'm sorry, but it is in the church. It is a 2.50 meters, and in the going to the air, and 75 in the wideness.
Mhm.
So it is huge.
Going up. Dancing
It is
into the sky.
yeah, but I can send a picture.
Okay, fine. Mhm.
Okay, yeah, okay.
As not native speaking in English, Monia talked about rapture in the Bardo state. Is this not also called rapture when you are like this, like in an euphoric state? No. What is
That's
that?
rapture. That's rapture.
Ah, with the A. And
With
the
the
other
A,
is
yes,
just
yeah,
you.
and
Okay,
you.
good. Thank you for English help. Better one, this one, no? The one with the A. Do you experience that too, Beatrice? When you do your things, your art?
It's been so long. Yeah, I mean, I think the week that I was dancing kind of felt like that. I don't know if it's rapture exactly. That feels extreme. I think it's more in kind of an internal bubbling of joy and excitement and interest and passion. Yeah, I think, but it depends. It depends. I got to give an artist talk at NYU a couple weeks ago. And my excitement to do that and to talk about my work and to share that with undergraduate students and to get their questions and to engage them. I felt kind of the way Martini expressed right now, that I had a similar excitement. So I guess, yes, I guess my answer is yes. I feel a little disconnected from it right now, but yes.
What I heard from you, Beatrice, and from Christine is the disappointment of people you trusted. So how do we deal with that when this, because this is, as Hanneli said, this is closest to the heart. And then when there all of a sudden is a rupture, yeah. So how do we deal with disappointments of this kind that are unexpected and that really hit us hard?
How do you deal with it?
You didn't want to go into detail, Christine, but yeah, can you avoid the details?
No. Yeah. Do you want me to hear a few points about it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think that pointing to anything in the external world captures it. I've lived my life by intuition. It's the only way I've known to make decisions. And sometimes they're very strange decisions, but they come up this way. They come from intuitive information. And I didn't understand to be able to even say that until, I suppose, the last few years. I mean, to give you an extreme example, I suppose, just to be dramatic, that when my partner, who I thought would probably be the right person, he was the right partner, we'd been making love, and I sat up in bed. I said, guess what? We have a baby and it's a boy. And there was no question about it. And I was in my early 30s. My whole life has been like that. And I have a funny feeling it's time for me to leave. Every time I start to do something, like the book is ready to go online, the book has been made the right size, there's no part of me that wants to do that. That is so unusual. So I think sometimes, just like having a baby, knowing what sex it is, knowing when it's coming, knowing when I leave to North Carolina, I don't know anybody, I don't have any reason to be going there, but it was like within 24 hours when I landed after the plane, I had a signed contract to be here where I am. So I just go by intuition. I think it might be my time, and that doesn't have to be a sad thing. It's about recognizing it. And I don't have a story about it. I just feel like I won't be here in a while. It's about as simple as I can say. Intuition is a gift and a bitch. I'm not fighting it. I'd rather know. In order to leave things well for others. Sorry to say that, but that's how I feel. You know, I have a great will and I've got things organized, but it's not great. I can improve upon it a bit. So please don't feel sorry for me. It's a time for all of us. It's a gift to know when that might be coming. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Christine.
I really don't want to be a downer. It's an honor to know that and to be safely here just to say it without any drama. And I may well be wrong. Hallelujah. I'm not, chained to it, but that's what I'm feeling today and have been feeling for the last few days. Sorry if I'm being too honest.
I'm just wondering about intuition. As you said, it's a bitch. And it's a miracle, but so how much, as Heidi had to decide about her selling her house, she went to a medium and got support there that she shouldn't sell it. So I wonder if is there any assistance we can get when our intuition really gets us, at the edge, when we are at the edge. You know what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I understand the question.
Mhm.
And I have done a little bit of that. I haven't asked the question about, how long do I have, but I have gone to some pretty interesting sources in the last month or so. And I find that this is going to sound stupid, but my intuition is very private. My intuition doesn't want to go for somebody else's take on things. It is spontaneous. It comes in a way like a wave, like the sand coming into your home. It just comes in and it says, this is what's going on. And giving my power to someone else with something this delicate would probably, in this time in my life at my age, I've never asked anybody else about my intuition. I've always just used it. So I'd be denying what has been the history since I was young. Does that make any sense? I have to continue with the wisdom that has taken me the way it has, not someone else's guidance from. But thank you. I mean, oftentimes that's helpful, but right now it's a journey that's quite alone.
I want to add that I have no confidence in my intuition. I think I'm sort of intuitive, but I'm not really used to use it. And so for me, it's important that I have a mediation by another person.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you do that? Because I think, I'm like you, Heidi. I don't trust. I am very intuitive, but I don't trust my intuition. And I think I'm often trying too hard to do the right thing or please other people or not knowing where my priorities should lie. And to your question, Monia, my person is my mother. And I actually learned that I was reminded of that a couple of weeks ago, because at this dance week, I was going to only stay for half of it because I was really torn and I wanted to be here for the Easter Triduum. And so I was going to try to split my time between these two things to be half at this event and half here to celebrate Easter. And I'd already made the decision. I had booked the flight. I had booked the car to pick me up that cost a fortune to get me from the house back to the airport, earlier than everyone else was going. And I'd had it all arranged, and it never quite sat right with me, but I didn't know why. And I hadn't talked to my mother about it. And then I was actually I flew out a day early and I was already out there. And that's when I called my mother and I said, oh yeah, I'm here. This is what I'm doing. I told her about this halfway thing. And she said, why? Why are you doing that? And then I talked it out with her, and she was the one who said, no, don't, that sounds exhausting and like a terrible idea. Just, if you're going to go to this experience and it's going to be by the ocean, it's going to be so beautiful, and you've needed a break, and and you haven't been able to dance for so long, and don't do it halfway. Do it, really do it. If you want to do it, do it. And so then I said, okay, let me look at what the change fee is. And I said, if the change fee is cheaper than that car service that I had ordered, the flight change fee, then I'll change it and I'll stay for the whole week. And I looked online and it was free to change the flight, which was that that kind of sealed it for me. And I thought, okay, all right. Like multiple directions are telling me that this is actually the right decision. And then, you know, when I was there, first of all, I had no idea what kind of an event it was. As soon as I got there, I realized it would have been a nightmare to leave early. And then even on Wednesday, I was observing what was going on Wednesday night and Thursday morning, imagining this is the moment I would have left. And it was also, you know, solidifying it for me that it would have been horrible to leave early, because the whole thing, you know, builds on itself and accumulates. And then at the very end of the week, there's a you know, special celebration. Anyway, that was a long story, but my mother is my checkpoint. And sometimes I don't go with what she says, but there's something that's valuable to me about saying something out loud to someone that I know has my best interest in mind, and then hearing the reaction, and then reevaluating, okay, why was I about to make this decision, or what do I care about, or is this something that I do want to argue with my mother about and say, no, I believe this is what I'm going to do, or is it something that I say, okay, yeah, thank you. I just needed that little push to make the decision that I actually wanted to make all along, but I was too scared to. Anyway, I was going to ask you, Christine, like, I don't know, how do you trust your intuition? How do you know? How?
You know, that's a great question. And I was just feeling that emerge. I think there's a difference in our ages. How old are you?
I'll be 30 this year.
Okay, I'm 76.
But you said since you were young. I mean, it sounded to me, I mean, and also the story about the baby, I mean, that was when you were 30. So it seems like it's something that's lived with you for a long time.
Yeah, it has. Those are just some of the more dramatic. You know, I went off to live at the Esalen Institute and lived there for 2 years. It made no sense. I wrote my doctoral dissertation. Nothing has made sense. It's always been guidance. I don't think I was connected enough to know that at 13 or 15 or 20, but at some point in my early 20s, I knew that I followed something that made no sense to anybody else in the world. And there have been enough decades of that, because I cannot now vision, as much as my book is ready to be on Amazon, I have no motivation to do that at all. That's not characteristic of this person. This person is saying, don't bother. So I can't answer that, except only that it has something to do with time and age and what has served me very, very well. So if I only have a certain amount of time, why in the hell would I bother putting the details into getting the damn book up on Amazon? Somebody else can do that when I'm gone. Does that answer it at all? It's not the details, it's the knowing.
I'm wondering, as Hanneli needs to go in a short time, she is a very intuitive person. What are you saying to this?
I just have a question. For me, everybody's experience are very unique. So there's no right and wrong, good or bad. And we all experience these things in our own ways. And Christine, as you were sharing that, it took me back to my own experiences 3 times in my life where I had a choice to go. A deliberate choice. I could stay or I could have gone. And every time I said, no, I want to stay. But so it was from an inner voice that came through. But what I wanted to ask, perhaps, to reflect upon is, and this came up, and I don't really know why it came up, and maybe the context is not related, but when is it our inner critic speaking? And when is it our soul speaking from intuitive point of view? Because both can become present depending on the scenario, the situation that we find ourselves in. And for me, intuition is a powerful voice that does not take me personally into depression. So for myself, it doesn't take me into space where I feel drained. It's always something that is I feel heart energy in my heart, then I know it's aligned with my soul, and I feel it in my cells because I'm sensory. Even if it's bad news, so to speak, if it could be considered bad news, but it's never something that makes me feel not energized or that really pulls me down, just from a personal perspective. But that's not to say it's like the same for everybody. And I've learned to really trust my kinesthetic intelligence, so the muscular intelligence of our body, because I do for myself, and I can only speak for that, is that when I'm in a state where I worry or there's fear or there's stress or the likes, for whatever reason, or frustration, irritation, and the likes, it takes time for me then just to presence myself, to connect with my own heart energy, which like I said, my body's my guide in that, and then to ask. And it's interesting of what this topic is coming up. My daughter asked me this morning, we were speaking about this morning about who is speaking when you hear that inner voice. What voice is speaking? And and that's what happened with me this morning, because I was, like I said, I wasn't very happy to be back in Johannesburg and the likes. But after we spoke about that, I suddenly became present, and suddenly I got into a very creative mode. So it really pulled me out of that by just asking who is speaking. And hence the question of, is it our inner critic, maybe a wounded part of us speaking, or is it our soul speaking from an intuitive point of view? And I do believe we all have a different signaling inner guidance system that guides us in the process. As you were speaking, I felt a lot of reverence as you were sharing your experience with us. So I just wanted to thank you for that. I'm complete.
That was really lovely. Thank you. Thank you. I honor the way you've described the difference. And this is a soul message. I wish I was being critical of myself. It just something says it's time. I mean, that's okay. I just want to prepare in a way that's loving.
And it can be joyful.
We're here together in a year or two. We can remember this with great celebration. That's just the way it is right now. But thank you for that very fine soul versus personality distinction. It's lovely. Thank you. I'm grateful you stood on this long to be able to offer that. Thank you.
And I just want to say something to you in this moment as well, that for me myself, it would be the most incredible experience to be consciously deciding I'm going now. To be present to that, it would be a huge celebration. I do believe that's where humanity is moving towards. Our fear of death and the likes, I feel we are busy transcending that with humanity. Yes. And that it can be a glorious celebration of us being able to make that decision. So hence me, when I did make those 3 decisions to stay, it was something that I just knew I wasn't ready to go. I knew I had lots of more to do here and to experience and explore here. So thank you for reminding me even of that today, that I'm still here to do stuff. So thank you for your experience, for that gift.
Thank you for saying it the way you did. We all have a choice. We do have a choice. Conscious and unconscious. But thank you. You said that with such love. Thank you. So who wants to say something next?
I want to say something. I'm really, what is the right word? Stunned and humbled and receiving a gift by you talking in this way. Both of you, Annelie and Christine. This is just amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anya, I look at you as one of the wise ones because you were one of the first members of the group that I got to know more deeply. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And I'm wondering, what do you expect to hear from me?
I don't have an expectation. I just have something in my heart. Feels like I got to know you fairly intimately early on when I joined the group.
I can feel you, so I don't talk much because I can feel you very strongly today, right now. And yeah. And I'm wondering, because I haven't cried in about decades now. So my tears dried up in 1995. And I'm wondering if I can give you some of my dryness, just to soak up.
Your dryness, you said?
Yeah, I would call, well, maybe it's not dryness, but something of this tearlessness.
Fearlessness.
Yeah, looking at things very relaxed and very calm. Yeah, calm. Whatever happens, whatever ruptures happen, it's just a kind of calmness. But maybe that's also just my age, probably. But since you are rather close, so yeah. I have been wondering about intuition. Maybe we could use this as a topic for a whole evening or two. Because I have been trying to remember how my intuitions come to me, and it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that because Heineli has to go. And so if I think we should close with this, because otherwise we are like the 10 little, no, one after the other is disappearing.
Okay.
So let's talk about this next time, and I will tell you when we meet, okay? And Heineli, bye-bye, and everybody bye-bye, and we keep in touch and keep each other in the heart.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.